Merry meet, Annie here. Welcome to the Bits and Bytes vlog. Something new for me. And I'm going to start this very first of my Bits and Bytes vlogs by explaining why I don't vlog. But let me back up a step or two. One of the things I enjoy most being on YouTube is watching others' vlogs. Oh, I like our topic videos where we all share opinions on a certain subject or show how we do things, but the YouTubers that I become very loyal to are those who share aspects of their life. Oh, not that they have to be out there tooting all their private business to the world, but sharing enough of it that we become aware of who they are day to day, moment to moment. So, top of my list when I watch YouTube is looking to see who's reporting in with that kind of personal vlog. I'd like to be part of that community, but I generally don't vlog. And the reason is, we live in a small house. We live, basically, in 3 rooms. My husband is a great watcher of television, nor he's listening to music that might not be my taste in music, but either way, that kind of background will become part of any kind of vlog that I would do. So I thought, well, I can't do it because of the environment. 2 of us living in such a small space. I also don't have a portable camera. I don't own a cell phone. Maybe I'm the only person I know that doesn't own a cell phone. I use a camera. So taking videos for me has to do with tripods and a stationary camera. That's why you never see selfies of me. Not really possible to turn that camera around for that kind of live action capture. So outside of environment, and the fact that I don't have a camera that works well for that kind of instantaneous capturing, there's also that consideration that my life might be considered boring. And it's also a limitation on my recording vlogs because I'm so busy watching other folks' vlogs. But now I'm inspired to join the vlogging community. I decided there were ways to work around our cozy environment and its limitations for my recording. I can do pictures. I can do voiceovers to videos. All I had to do was think about it for a bit and realize that there were ways I could vlog. Oh, you won't see my face on camera much when I do my vlogs, but then again, you see my face plenty in other videos that I do. I've also been inspired watching Jackie Dubois' videos recently, where she takes on one small thing. Yeah, and it's important, in my mind, that I said that twice, that our days are constructed of one small thing and then the next small thing. And every one of those small things is sacred. I wanted to experiment with capturing those sacred moments for myself and sharing them. I also wanted to join in the vlogging community. My personal videos that are not on a topic, that are general videos or catch-up videos or personal ones, get watched a lot. No, it's not about the views of how many people watch my videos, but it is an understanding that others like me connect to the more personal videos that we share. I also was inspired thinking that I have many friends that I've made over the years on YouTube who do not share their face. They have their reasons for doing that. They might see the way I format these and realize there's a possibility they could join in the community this way. So after that little bit of introduction as to why I'm doing Bits and Bytes and how I hope it connects us even more, let me begin my Bits and Bytes for January 22nd, 2016. I invite you to spend some time with me to decide if you'd like to come back to visit my future vlogs. So we're going to get a major storm, or we're not. We're either going to get a lot of rain, or we're going to get a foot of snow. It seems pretty sure that if you live 10 miles north of us, you're going to get close to a foot of snow. But we don't know yet what's going to happen here. We do know we're going to have dangerously high tides down the hill from us, 3 foot above normal, which when you live against a bay in the grasslands where everything, of course, is so flat, that 3 foot's got to go somewhere. So our downhill neighbors are going to have some problems. Do you know the expression when you're standing outside when it's cool and there's a certain dampness in the air that it feels like snow? My mom was a great one for that expression. It used to be able to just sense it because of the temperature on my skin or the dampness or that feeling of briskness where you could breathe in such clean air. Well, the bummer of it is, I was thinking this morning as I was outside for a bit, thinking it feels like snow, that the older you get, you have to add to that little bit of what it feels like before snow, that your bones are aching, and you can't take a deep breath because of the change in barometric pressure. Yeah, what happens when you get a little older. The Hubs came in this morning from taking the dogs out. He takes first shift, taking the dogs out. And he came in saying, something's in the air. So whatever it is that's in the air today, it feels like snow. So my 2 cents while I'm doing the voiceover for today's vlog. Does anybody else think it's strange that they name snowstorms? When did that start? I remember it was Snowmageddon the first time. The one that's visiting us tonight, it's actually coming down pretty good right now, is Josiah, or some dude's name from the Bible. I think it's really strange to name a snowstorm. Speaking of snow, where we used to live, whenever there was any prediction of anything slightly white, everyone ran out to buy their milk and their bread. Where we live now, everyone heads to the liquor store. This came through my Facebook feed today. Wouldn't you like to know your stripper name? All you have to do is give yourself a first name, which is the first pet you ever had, and then your second name is the last thing you ate. My stripper name is Mabel Granola, and I couldn't help but think that a woman of my years and my girth dancing around a stripper pole might be appropriately named Mabel Granola. Making prune brownies. Oh, don't let that turn you off. I almost let it turn me off. But today I tried a recipe for a lower fat version of brownies because the Hubs has a sweet tooth. And I like to make things, and today it was brownies that actually had baby food prunes in the mix. You have to trust me, and this turned out really good. But one of the most exciting things is it was my opportunity to use my new mixer for the first time. I went through a lot picking out this mixer. I've actually never in my life had a good mixer. I've always had rather inexpensive ones. Oh, not that this was expensive. I researched and got the best of the least expensive mixers, and I'm delighted with it. So the brownie with prunes in it. The recipe is on my personal blog, my written blog, and I do have a link to that blog in the comments section below. Somewhere in the next day or two, the recipe for these low-fat brownies will be listed. So if you'd like to know what's in these prune brownies, it's a half a cup of all-purpose flour and 6 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder, a cup sugar, an eighth a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1 4-ounce jar of pureed prunes, baby food. I couldn't find prunes, so I got apple and prunes, and 2 eggs. And like I mentioned, the entire recipe will be on my personal blog site. So just yesterday, Ernie had a very bad day. Most of you know Ernie. He has a fan club here on YouTube. If you don't see him in my videos, you kind of hear him snorting around a lot in the background. Ernie has epilepsy. And normally if I say he had a bad day, it means he's just been a bad big brother and he's been picking on our little min pin Bogey. But yesterday, Ernie was ill for the entire day. It was actually very frightening. It was like he began to have a grand mal seizure, but kind of froze in the aura he has before and after it, and he spent a good part of the day that way. So I kept him in my lap, and I held him and I sang to him and I petted him and was debating whether to take him to the vets or not. And about the time I thought, okay, we're getting in the car and going to the doctor's, he started to come back around. Oh, he'd been conscious and with me. I don't mean back around like he was unconscious, but more energy came back. And while he proceeded to sleep the afternoon away, by evening time he was back to acting completely like himself. And today he's completely normal. So it may have been something neurological aligned to his epilepsy, but it was a very scary day for the French fart. Tiny moment by the bay. And if you know the song, I stole that melody from. Here's to ya, and I bet you're older than 60. And for those who don't have a clue, a hint. Don Ho. Anyway, I take pictures all over the neighborhood on my walks about it. If you follow me on Facebook, you know I call those pictures or those small videos Tiny Moment by the Bay. We are truly, madly, in love with the place we live. We've been here for a little over 3 years, and we still don't believe that we live here. So every now and then, when I'm doing my vlogs, I'll share a snippet from my Tiny Moment by the Bay experience of the day. I like this one because I knew within a couple of hours we were going to start getting that sleet or that snow, and the vista was going to change completely. And if I'm lucky, maybe tomorrow I can capture a picture of what it looks like now for you. But today, it looked like an autumn day with shades of deep blue in the water, rusts and golds and browns in the seagrasses. The vegetable we're having as a side dish with our dinner tonight is carrots and thyme. And that recipe will also be added to my personal blog, and you'll find that link below in the comments section. I cook vegetables sometimes in the middle of the day if I have to cook them at a very different temperature than whatever I'm cooking in the oven for dinner. And since these had to be cooked at 400 and dinner is being cooked at a much lower temperature, I cooked them midday and I'll warm them back up again to have with our dinner. It's not been all that long ago in my life that I discovered the joy of baking vegetables. I was raised either boiling them or steaming them, which of course I now know eliminates almost all of their flavor. So there are often veggies in our oven. All you need for this is a couple of pounds of carrots. Cut them into 1/2 inch bites and mix them up with some olive oil, thyme, salt and pepper, and some minced garlic. Now I have to admit, I played around with the recipe just a little bit for us today, and I put dried ground thyme and garlic salt in. Stir it all up, and you put it in the oven 15 minutes at 400 and stir everything around and get them flipped over in another 15 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. We like our vegetables pretty well cooked through. We don't like any crunch left cooked vegetables, so I cooked it for another 10 minutes after that original 15. And while we're talking dinner, here is our dinner for tonight. Before we started eating a bit more healthy, I was the queen of all things casserole. I think because I worked long hours and it was always easy to fix something that could drop into the oven when I got home at night, and there were always leftovers. I actually just cooked that way the majority of my life, one pot or casseroles. So I tend to find, as best I can, healthier versions of those kinds of things. And I was looking at some recipes at Thanksgiving time. I was looking for things to do with green beans that were a little healthier than the old standard cream of mushroom soup with the French fried onions on top of it that goes with green beans. And I found this recipe, which was more for a meal, not for a side dish, and I kept it to try. And it works out actually kind of nice. It's called green bean and hamburger casserole. It's a pound of ground beef, a couple of cans of French cut green beans, a can of mushrooms, a small onion, a couple of stalks of celery, a half a cup of mayonnaise, 8 ounces of cheddar cheese, some salt and pepper, and some garlic powder. And the full recipe, as I've mentioned, will be available on my blog, linked in the comment section below. It ends up pretty much tasting like the old green bean casserole recipe that has the cream of mushroom soup in it. I'm trying to stay away from, I'm taking baby steps, let's say, in staying away from some of the processed foods that have been part of, even when I was trying to eat healthier, I would have hesitated to put cream of mushroom soup in something. So now it's easier to make the mayonnaise and mix it, in this case with the cheese, as this recipe called for. You get the same kind of creaminess without going to the processed food that you get out of the can. This is kind of a comfort food. It's really, really good. Tonight we're having it with the thyme carrots as our side dish. We had to decide to postpone our gathering, our getting together tomorrow night for the full moon, because getting out of where I live is going to be a little iffy. Where we live is the last area to be plowed. We're off the main road far enough back that it takes a while. I also wouldn't want to be out at the tail end of this storm when there might be freezing ice, freezing rain and ice on the roads. You know, it's a real bummer because you look forward to something all month long, and that night is so sacred and special. Oh, we're just postponing it by a day, and I'll do my own celebrations tomorrow night. But a bit of a bummer that something I anticipate so eagerly gets postponed even a little bit. I felt like a child who was having a present dangled in front of me and then being told, oh no, you can open it on another night. The weather forecast was for the snow or whatever to start about 4:30 this afternoon, and it started at about 10 after 4 as a very dry snow. Not the kind of snow that you think it's going to change to rain anytime soon. You know the difference in the texture of snows? Definitely the kind of snow you get when the atmosphere is very, very cold. So it started coming down, and I'll share a little bit of that with you out the front door off of our porch. It looks like we're going to get anywhere up to 6 inches, but we'll lose some of that, it appears, as the storm passes through to rain. So we might not have all that much on the ground. The downside to all of this is somewhere in the middle of the night tonight is when the wind is going to come through, that high wind that they are still predicting. Oh, it's going to be really terrible along the Jersey shore, but there's also high flood and erosion warnings here along the Delaware shore. There's actually going to be waves off of Rehoboth Beach, which are going to be up to 25 foot. The most we've ever seen over there has been under 20. We've actually never seen the Atlantic quite that fiery. If the roads are clear enough, I can bet you we'll be out in search of those 25-foot waves just to experience them. Well, my friends, that was my first attempt at my Bits and Bytes vlog. This will give you a chance to know if it's something you want to watch when you see one come up in your subscription feed in the future. So until the next time, my friends, Mary Part. Oh, thank you for stopping by.